7 p.m. This is General Operations, and I'm calling the meeting to order. Chairman, Merrill Hyde will give the invocations.
Father, we thank you for your many blessings to us, and we pray, Lord, as we gather here tonight to do the business of this great county, that you will guide us and give us wisdom and decisions that we make to be those that are honorable in your sight. We pray in that name. Amen.
Amen. The approval of the agenda, I have added, been working with Mr. Tuttle on a system, and he has got it pretty much finished, and so I've given a handout on that so that you can add that to your agenda packet. Yes, Mr. Mayor?
Would it be possible we add the health department to the agenda?
Sure.
The Hendersonville Health Department.
Hendersonville Health Department. Let's make that new business number 9D. Yes. Okay. Any other changes to the agenda from anybody? I ask for a motion. Second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approval of the minutes from January 2nd. Motion. Got a motion? Got a second from Commissioner Moss. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. I have no report. Mr. Mayor, do you have a report for us?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to shorten this just a little bit, because a lot of this stuff we've already talked about. Talk a little bit about the Hendersonville Health Department. We've got Hal with us, and we got the report back, and that report basically says that that's really not a candidate for renovation. Damage too far gone, and they're recommending that we just tear it down and replace it. I spoke with the schools. Schools are okay with that since it's on their area. And what we need from this commission, from this committee, is to change, that vote needs to change from renovation to demo and rebuild. Right now, under the ARPA, we've got it down as a renovation. So we just need to change that vote from a renovation to a demolition and rebuild. I think when we get to this, I would like, under the new business, I'd like for us to have Mr. Howell talk about some of he's got some graphs, some information to share. And I've got also some handouts to share. Let me put these around everybody to give you an idea of where we are with the health department. I know there were some questions with the health department right now. AEI was the architect that was selected. AEI has got experience with other health departments across the state. Any more? There should be.
I think that's good.
And so they're familiar not only with just the health department itself, building health departments and designing health departments, but they also have experience with the grants that the state has. It's very important that we know that with the state grant that we have, is that they're going to state on this project is going to cover any overages, any contingencies without a match. So the money that we've committed is all the money that we've got to commit to this project. The state's going to cover everything else on it. So it's a good opportunity for us to get a new health department out in the Hendersonville area. The plans on it are to expand it from 4,000 square feet to 6,000 square feet under their new model. So I think that'll be good. There were some questions on service. You can see the graph there. services for the health department. And one thing that I want to bring to your attention is the outside county, because I know there was some question that we were serving a lot of people from outside the county, but actually 61% come from Hendersonville, and then the majority comes from other areas within Sumner County, and outside the county is 12%, based on their latest data. So we do have some people coming in from outside the county, but 88% that serve within that health department is served for Sumner County residents. I think Cal can talk to you more about some of that, some of the other stuff with the health department when we get to that area. But I just want to reiterate that what I'd like, the architect makes his recommendation for the ARPA funding. I would like for this committee to vote to change. Only thing you change is language from demo, or from renovation to demo and new construction. The Highlands Drainage Project is still going fine. The Oak Grove, we talked about this in EMS, or in the Health and Emergency Services Committee. We've got the PO. We're still waiting to get all of that finished so we can get the legal description. With everything going on, getting that completed, the time frame is a little longer than we wish, but we are still moving forward with that project. We talked about the EMS buildings. We should have the appraisal done on the land in Westmoreland. We're going to bring that to the body for your consideration, and talk to you about that. We're also, we talked a little bit in the previous committee on the White House property. So we looked at a piece of property, and it was actually the exact same piece of property that the city administrator was also looking at. So when we exchanged information, it was good that we lined up on that location. But there's still a lot of work to be done, as it was discussed in the Health and Emergency Services Committee meeting. A lot of work to be done on that before we reach the point. Now, I will tell you that we are streamlining some of the processes on that. When we put that RFQ out for the architect, it's our goal to do the same exact station on both locations, on Westmoreland and White House. And also, I talked a little bit about staffing issues. Those are real. So that's something that we're also going to have to take in consideration with White House. Now, I will say that, we are a couple years out, but the staffing is continuing to be a problem. Let's see. We'll talk about the park later. And we're expecting our chiller to come in anytime now. I gotta get Toby on the ball on the pad. He's not got the pad ready yet, so I'm gonna call him tomorrow on that. We're still on the jail and the architect, jail and archives building. We're still finishing that up, and hopefully we're gonna be advertising for bids soon, bringing those bids back to this committee to review and approve. Let's see, we've got the other projects, our HVAC program. Fortunately, good thing, we'll probably roll those funds over to next year, barring anything happening. But it's good to have those funds dedicated if something happens. But right now, we don't have anything. And same thing with the parking lot program. If we don't have any major projects with parking lots, we're going to just ask that we roll that over and keep that going. I don't want to redo parking lots or HVAC units until I need to. The other capital item, the jail kitchen equipment, the jails have identified a freezer, refrigerator, and a range that they need to purchase for the kitchen. So that's going to come out of those capital funds. And that is it on my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay. Recognition from the public, we have one.
Let me put
my name?
Yes.
My name is, Penny Wicker. I live at 221 Bud Hollow Road, Gallatin. And, I made some notes up from straight. But, I came here today because I wanted to talk to y'all, because I was the one that informed Mr. Klein about the tree branch that is now touching the historic post office. When I first noticed the branch, it was hanging, low, but that was, several months before we had the tornado storms. And after those storms that produced the tornadoes, I just noticed it was lower, and that tree is rotten, at least part of it is. And if it falls, it's going to cause some significant damage to the back of the post office. And I'm the treasurer of the Cotton County Community Center nonprofit, and we care about the property, and we want to see it preserved, and we want to properly clean and maintain it. We're supportive of weeds and invasive vines, and we want to plant native plants and wildflowers, and we secured the funds and we put the roof on to keep the water out. And the exterior doors have been taken off, so we purchased the doors, and of course y'all know that we had them installed and paid for. And at Christmas we put up some simple decorations, and some residents expressed their appreciation for our efforts. And we do want to see these buildings restored to honor the history of the different families that built the area, and also make it welcoming for the new families in the area. And but I know that Resolution 2304-18 that was passed in April of 2023 states no tax money should be used to keep these buildings maintained. And that's not what I'm not asking for any tax money today about on the tree. I mean, I will actually want to go there and tell you, but I want to especially go through the proper channels and all that and make sure it's done right. And but also now I'm asking, what is the long-term plan for the historic post office and the Draper House? These two buildings do have significant meaning and some historic meaning to most of the community. And that's what I want to do. I want to feel like, this is my opinion, I want to, if I pull out the Hollow was over and I know that something needs to be maintained or done and cleaned, then I feel comfortable that there's, we can get it done. And I know you all have a great deal of important matters to give your attention to, but we would like to respectfully request that you all get soft to this and discuss this matter so we can move on and get some things done. And I just want to thank you all for your time.
Okay, that ends recognition of the public. We're going to old business. Mayor covered some of this, so I will add to what is just an informational. Item A, progress on the roof and parapets of Archive Building. We're still awaiting the specifications. I know in the minutes it said that we were going to have them any day. The man they have working on it has had some issues that he's had to attend to, and so I think his direct superior is picking up the ball with that. So we're expecting still this week to get specifications for the Archive Building as well as the roof for the jail. The roof for the jail was a little different. We did receive specifications a week and a half ago. Ms. Norfleet got them. She had some corrections that she sent them back for. We expected to have them for tonight, and they didn't make it. She did follow up today and let me know that they're going to be here very, very soon, and that should mean this week. So we'll know more about those. Update on the new courthouse parking structure. The construction is all moving well, if any of you have driven by it. Regarding the storm drain, we've kind of run right into item D here because they're really one and the same when it comes to the second half of item C. I had meetings with first the City of Gallatin Utility to discuss what they anticipated doing in Franklin Street. That's where the storm drain is going to be running. to move water lines, which I found out subsequently what was more involved in that, because there's two different departments handling it. So the first group I met with was three, and they were more with stormwater people. And so they explained to me that the water line has to be moved, sewer's probably going to be able to be kept in place, power poles are going to have to be supported because it's a very narrow street there if any of you traveled it. And we're talking about 350 feet of 18 and 24 inch storm drain. So after that, I met with Ms. Norfleet, Judge Thompson, and we had a meeting about the pressurization of the courthouse, and then we followed up with this meeting on the storm drain. And we all agreed that if it were possible, that we have as few contractors work on it as possible and get it done as quickly as possible. And so that was the same consensus we had at my previous meeting with the city. And then last week, Ms. Norfleet and I met David Kellogg, who's over, he's in the water and sewer department over on Hancock Street. And he has already started bidding that project out, so it's too late to try to get one contractor to do all of it. But it's going to work out okay, I believe, because what the city is going to do is they're going to move the water line from the south side of the street to the north. Our storm drain is going to be put on the south side of the street. So they're going to move and increase that water line from a 4 and a 6 to a single 12 inch. And that'll be, I believe, in ductile iron. That'll leave an open area for us. The only thing we'll have to do is deal with sewer and water laterals that come from the mains. So they will move in, they will move the water line. Our contractor, whoever that will be, will move in and put in the storm drain, and in places it'll be 10 feet deep. So it's a pretty serious construction project. What Ms. Norfleet and I are going to do maybe later this week or possibly next week is meet with Turner and their contractor to see if we can, now that we've got a lot of the variables out of the way, it's possible we can reduce the costs. As you know, the pipe contractor is around $400,000, and Turner's oversight is about $100,000, and then there's $100,000 in unknowns. And so we'll be working through that. The drawings, I have not seen the final drawings. Mr. Mayor, have you seen the final drawings yet for the storm? No, sir. No, okay. I don't think they're quite done yet, but they're very close. So as a point of information, there's no voting to do. What I am going to try to find out is if we need to, and what I haven't found out yet is whether we need to have Turner doing the oversight or if we can bid it out. And that has not been determined yet. So time may have an effect on that. Contract law may have an effect on that. I just have not gotten the final assessment from financial in conjunction with legal at this point. So,
Well, if possible, what I'd like to do, we've got that up to amount. I'd like for us to move this on to budget, and we can always come in under that based on the conversations we have with Turner going forward. But we really need to get that amount, at least get something to budget, so we can get that process started rather than waiting another month.
okay, so you'd like to see a not to exceed
Not to exceed,
$600,000?
yeah, that was the original amount. We know it's not more than that. That's worst case scenario.
Right.
And if we're able to get it lower, that's great. So,
Do we have a motion? Do we have a second? Second, Terry Moss. Commissioner Moss, we have a question?
So, well, a couple questions. First of all, you said that the drain pipe is moved from the north side to the south side?
No, it was always designed to be on the south side of
Okay.
They moved the water to the north.
Okay, I knew they worked together last rendition I saw.
Yeah.
So, do we own any part of the relocation of that water line now that they're tearing up two sides of the street? Are they totally covering all of that?
The city is covering the entirety of the water line, the entirety of the paving.
Okay, both sides?
Both sides.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the split, I wanna make sure that was still covered.
Yeah.
Oh, is it, still within the possibility to discuss any, recourse of this oversight if we that listed at last month, or if I roll this to budget, are we still okay with potential for that if we decided to, or?
That may be illegal.
That's what I was gonna ask you, Director of the Chair.
Can you respond to that, Mr. Silver?
This is there may be some legal recourse, and I would have an executive session if there were some discussion there at the time, but I don't really, this is an apples and oranges thing, because it's gotta get done.
Would moving it to budget, mess that up?
As a matter of fact, we'd have a duty to mitigate our damages anyway,
That's
which is
what I thought,
less
I
than,
just wanted to ask the question.
yeah, no, I don't see any issue there.
That's all I'm doing.
Okay. So, any other questions on the issue? So we've got a motion and a second. Mr. Mayor, you look like you have a question. No, sir. No. All right. All in favor?
Can you restate that for me, because this just went from a discussion to a
Okay.
motion?
Okay. The motion is to approve to send the budget not to exceed $600,000 for the total county's responsibility on the storm drain project. Okay. Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Okay. The historic Brown House, Mr. Mayor, I'm gonna be mostly addressing you, on this one. Item E1, status of the documentation.
I've got that ready.
Is it ready? So any of us can come in and see it, just give you.
Yeah, just let me know, please, on there.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Okay, you have a question, Mr. Sh?
That was what I was gonna ask.
Thank you. Item 2, the status of the $500,000 fund. That's either a mayoral question or Mr. Sidley.
The back and forth, the last I've had with Director Langford was, they would be ready to release it contingent upon the county setting up the park, which this resolution is attached in the packet that needs to be voted on as part of this, but it's to establish the park and to take in the monies to operate the park as outlined in the will.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. I'll make a motion to adopt this resolution. Page 13.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. I'll second. Second by Commissioner Moss. Any questions on the motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
has this committee or has the commission voted to actually establish the park?
That's it right here.
That's what that resolution is.
This is the resolution to
Establish
establish
the
the park.
Yes.
Based on the desires of Mr. Brown, yes. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Are there any other questions?
If I could add something to the motion, that it also be moved to any successive committee if necessary. I'm not sure if budget or legislative needs to see this before it goes straight to commission. I'm trying to get it straight to commission.
Okay.
Will this need to go to legislative first?
budget, we don't even know, just to know the money.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna have to go there, I just wanted an out on y'all's vote so that I could steer it however it needed to go.
Okay. Are you okay with that?
If it's unanimous, we can wait the second reading, just like we did in the budget.
Yeah.
Let's just do that.
Commissioner Moss, are you okay with that change?
Yeah.
Okay, and if we vote unanimously, we can pass on the second reading. Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Take it as you will, Mr. Sitter.
Thank you, sir.
We saw 2 months ago, Mr. Mayor, a design presentation. Has anything changed on that today? No. Okay. Great. Okay, and then this one here is kind of an issue. You've all seen my correspondence or my attempted correspondence with Mr. Long of the school district. I'm getting no response. And the concern here, or at least my concern, is we have no idea what the inside of that house looks like. We have $1.25 million to deal with it, and what I do know about it, because I spoke to one of the ancestral family members, that it is a log cabin that was bricked around at a much later date by the Browns. And so, not knowing anything about what kind of work is involved inside, and knowing that Mr. Brown's desire was to have this the jewel of the park, it's impossible to budget for a design if we don't know what the renovation of the house is going to be. So, you have a question?
I have a question, I'm not directed to you, but it's open to anybody that knows the answer to this. Why is that key, why does Mr. Long have that key? I don't understand how it got to him in the first place. I don't read that anywhere in the resolution, and I don't see him on the county site as being any kind of caretaker of county buildings. I don't understand. Do you have knowledge of that?
I do not know why.
Does anybody at this table have knowledge of that? As to why he's got that key?
Well, prior to this commission, there was an understanding that the school system was going to renovate that. Since they had the manpower to do it internally, they were going to handle the renovation, and since they had the mowers already there, they were going to handle the maintenance of the park and save the county the cost of that.
That walks all over this resolution, this will, that walks all over the testament, the last will and testament of Mr. Brown. That's totally in conflict with what that is, so I hope we can resolve that and get it back in order to where the will is being handled according to the way Mr. and Ms. Brown wanted it to be. So how do we go about getting that key? Because I've seen 2 attempts to ask for it, and is he out of town? Is he being stubborn? What is the status of that, and what can this body do? And maybe I should direct that to the law director. How do we get that key? Because I would like to go see the status of the house to know what it's going to cost to repair that house, and why it hasn't been repaired in 7 years? 8 years?
I don't know.
Almost 9 years it's been sitting there.
That's
Boarded up. Since 15 or 16 or 17, I believe. So at least 6 years. I want to know, why it has not been handled. If the school said they were going to do it, why they haven't. But why the previous commission didn't do it as they were directed to do. Everybody knows houses left just unlived in are getting worse and worse shape. I'm sure there's quite a few critters living in there. So, how do we go about getting that key, Mr. Sidler?
I don't know what the deeding status is. Once this, park gets established through the resolution, we're gonna need to come to some sort of agreement with the, schools as to what parameter that would be. Now, this is long-term, but once the house and whatever we're deeming the park is deeded directly to the county, it's the county's property, they can go in, rekey it, do whatever they want with the property. In absence of that, I think if the mayor and Director Langford were in agreement, there's no dispute that the county and this trust can agree that they just rekey the place and we go in, start looking at it and see what needs to be done. But I would like to see an agreement before we just step up and do that.
So do we have the status of the deed of the house? Like, that's in his paperwork that he organized, right?
Yeah,
He
it's
may be
deeded
advanced
to the school systems in the county.
It's deeded to both.
But when all this deeding happened, that house was blocked out. And I believe it was blocked out for the intents of the will to create the park. So there is a area there that would be very simple to just convey back directly to the county.
So once we codify this resolution, we could get, clarification that the deed is now 100% not mixed up with.
Well, yeah, we would just execute some sort of quit claim deed just for that defined
For
area.
the lot with the house, or is it the entire park?
It's the house, because they were living in the property when they conveyed all this. He was still alive, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah, he had a life estate, and that's to make the grant work with the park, with TDEC. They parceled the house out because he was still living in it.
Separate from the park area?
Separate from the park.
So we have that different description of property, so it would be a very easy paperwork switch. It just can't happen until we've established.
So the meets and bounds are all established?
Correct.
With the house, the park, and then the school?
They never really called it a park in the deeding portion, but the deed can be defined through this.
Okay, so once the resolution's done, then that will put the house and the park back together and make it whole.
It should, based on my last correspondence with Dr. Langford.
Okay.
Yeah, until this resolution passes the commission, which it has not, we've just recommended it, there's still no establishment of the park.
Okay.
There's nothing to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So I jumped the gun on the key.
Oh, it's still
No,
valid
still a
question.
point. It should have never been there according to what the will says.
You're right.
It was done there, but in order to make it untangled and undo, we have to do this.
Okay, so we passed the resolution unanimously. That'll go to the commission and hopefully get a positive vote. And then at that point, we can deal with entering the house and seeing what kind of work. And just I'm a little confused about the park. Is the park going to be owned by the county or the school district?
County.
County. So we will, the park and the house, two separate pieces of property, will be quitclaimed.
This is an illegal question. The schools have designed a park setup for their whole layout. This park we're establishing is specific to the will, specific to the house. So whatever Dr. Langford's doing may be completely independent of this. We could try to make it all work together. I don't know. That's not my call. It's not a legal
I hadn't looked at the documents, so I don't know.
Those are two separate issues, the way I see it, though. The
Currently,
resolution
yes.
cleans up the will and what has been done to the will.
And then everybody can make
And
whatever they
the
want.
park can be looked at because the piece of property in the house now has been put back together the way they should have been according to the will.
Correct.
Okay. So this is cleans it all up.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, just a quick point, it would be a little silly to reinvent the wheel, though, from all of the design work that has been done, it's actually been reported to this committee. And, I think it would be wise for us to at least try to look at that and maintain as much of that as we can, because otherwise it's gonna just continue on undone.
Yes, yes. Mr. Jones.
He may or may not have a valid point. I think cart was put before the horse. We have to look at the house first.
Yeah,
The centerpiece of what will be.
yeah,
So it's got to be looked at.
yeah. It has to be looked at in full because there's a limited amount of money. And at the point after that money runs out, then the county, the taxpayers are going to have to make up the difference, or are we back down on the design criteria?
Not to abbreviate any of this, but everything you're talking about now is gonna be talked about again, so we gotta get this thing set up first.
Okay, and that's been done.
Just a simple question, can you come back, with information to us on how old this quote historic house is?
I can tell you right now that the man who built it somewhere between the 1790s and prior to 1830. He owned that property, and somewhere in there, but this direct descendant is not sure when, but it's that old. It's anywhere between 1790 and 1830.
Almost as old as your house. That's not as old as my house, or the house I lived in, but, you know, I have found this house in documents anywhere as a historic home.
I've got a copy of deeds and things that you made for me. I'll make you a copy of it. I know you're an historian as well as a sage. All right, moving on. Item F, status of finding a new project manager for the new courthouse and parking structure. And, Mr. Mayor, the question, I think, lays in your lap.
Yeah, there's been no movement on that.
Are you even attempting to find one? No. Do you feel, obviously, you feel we don't need one?
I don't really need one at
Okay.
this stage and getting, with the anticipation being done in April, and, you know, you're a part of most all the communications anyway. So, I don't see that we really need one at this point.
What is the pleasure of the body regarding this? Do we drop it? Do we,
Move to drop it from our list.
have a motion? Got a question? Okay, got a question.
So we voted, to go forward with securing a new project manager. Is it even up for debate whether or not we do one, like we've already had this discussion? I don't understand. I understand what the mayor thinking we might not need one, but the whole discussion and reason why we chose to do one is because of things like that drainage issue, which did come up. And so without knowing how many more things are out there, we all voted, to appoint another one. Is this a legal director question? Like, we directed the mayor to do something, the mayor doesn't agree with our decision, but does he have the legal authority just to not do the will of this body? I don't know where to go with that. What?
I would not feel comfortable giving you an answer just off the top of my head, so I'll be more than glad if y'all want to table this to come back to you with a more direct answer, but this kind of falls into a custody and control issue
I mean,
versus,
I hope it turns out that he's right and we don't need one, but $600,000 is a lot to get slapped with without any kind of heads up that it was coming. But there were people that knew, we just didn't know. And I think a project manager would have been a good piece of, had that information for us, that was coming along. I just don't feel good about this, and I don't know if we should let it go.
Chairman Klein,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Point of order, I don't recall, and I'm looking at the minutes from last month, there was no vote taken to hire.
That was several
No,
months
like
ago.
3 months ago.
Yeah, it was previous to that. So,
what's the projected completion date?
well,
I guess I'm saying that.
I think April is still anticipated finish time for the parking structure. I have not heard the latest on the pressurization did check into that, the differences are so minute that,
But they do have to do.
but they do have to do two tests.
So we're not gonna get a written complete release of that building until that second test is done. Would it be wise to have somebody watching over that has more knowledge over that than our chairman?
I certainly do not know a lot about that.
And everything I know is just research that I've done, so. I just bring these things up for our committee to consider. I don't know I don't know the difference in what it would cost to hire one. Those funds, I thought, would have been there within the project to have a project manager throughout it. Is it truly costing us money to do this? Or if so, how much? Or is it already covered within the project details, but is it coming out of our pockets? Is it coming out of our pockets?
I think in truth, my experience in building is by the time a project manager got caught up with where we're at, the project may be over. Now, that's barring any further catastrophes. I can tell you after being there for 2 solid days with the pressurization testing, there was no relief in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th floor. So all we have to do is figure out what kind of outside we want it to look like to vent it out, and that'll be handled.
So the wall inside didn't implement?
No, it did not get implemented because it was not necessary. All they
What do
need,
you mean by outside? What it looks like?
we have to have venting on 2 walls, the 2 side walls is, I believe, where they're going to do it now, to evacuate the air in a direct manner. The building is being pressurized, and this will relieve the pressure. And so it's actually a very simple solution to what seemed like a really big problem at the moment. So the only thing that we're waiting for, I think we're still waiting for, Mr. Mayor, is renderings of what the outside is going to look like when they put the venting in, and I don't think we're even going to notice it.
Outside the building?
Outside of the building. Yeah, outside of the building. It's going to be up at the 3rd and 4th floors, and it's probably going to be a spandrel of venting rather than a window or something to that effect.
So that $395,000 is gonna come way down.
Way down. Yeah, it's good news all the way around. And because they can control that venting, I don't believe that the warmer weather venting is gonna be a problem, the way it was explained to me. So, going back to the question of oversight, well, we didn't pay for it because Randall Coy left. And so we kept all the money that he would have taken had he not resigned.
Let me ask you this, is it possible to appoint somebody or have somebody within the project that already knows the project to take on the task of project manager that could do that kind of work?
Well, I don't know.
Well, we have constant communication with the architectural firm that's still managing their portion of it, as well as Turner Construction, that's still on site.
How are you getting constant communication? Via who?
But
They're
they talk to them all the time.
Yeah, they're representative. I talked.
They're on site.
Jim talks to them.
And that was part of the reason why I didn't feel we needed it, because we were so close to the end, and we still had all of them on site, that we could work through these issues. These issues were coming whether we had somebody there to say, oh, you have these issues.
Yeah.
So.
The storm drain issue happened while we had a representative there.
Yeah, my biggest fear is that there was things that were coming that somebody with knowledge of left and took that knowledge with them. And there may be somebody else there with knowledge of things that are coming that we don't know to ask. So if you feel good about asking the right questions,
I have to tell you, I
people that are
don't,
there.
because I've come in so late in the game. within the
within the
project.
project that have the names of the last list of punch list items
Yes,
to go,
yes.
that we can find out.
I would say that I do, and if there's one or two people I don't know, I can move them rather quickly. So,
Not on our side for the project management, because we have to, aggravated as we can be over this project, we have to deal with the cards that are in front of us. Let's just say, we kept, instead of approving Commissioner Harrison's motion to scrap the project management, we kept it for March. Well, if we got a closing date or an end date of April, I mean, even in a perfect world, let's pretend we can interview people today. There's no way you're gonna find someone qualified between today and the completion. It's just real. We got to deal with the cards in front of us. So personally, I don't see keeping a project manager on the agenda. I just think that's just reality. I know some people may not like to hear that, but we've got to deal with what's in front of us. And this is what we've got, unfortunately. And a project manager at this stage of the game, you know, again, it's just going to take too long to find somebody qualified. Then you get that person caught up on months and months of stuff. It's just almost next to impossible in my point of view.
That's what I thought, maybe there's somebody talking to me the project could just put on their hat for the rest of the time, but.
well, I think the one thing you could say is that we've got a lot of cooperation between the architecture firm and the Turner Construction. You know, in working through that pressurization issue, everybody's effectively on the same team. There's no animosity or disagreement. Everybody's trying to get the thing done.
That's great, and I commend you for working so tightly with them, but honestly, that wasn't your job.
No,
When you directed the mayor to appoint a project manager this months ago, and I agree now, as we've whittled down our time, it does seem possibly too late to get one, but it didn't have to be that way.
yes.
I agree with Tim, it should have been done, well, we should have been notified as soon as the project manager quit, and we were not. And it should have been, we should have had another project manager as soon as the one resigned, because you can argue all day long, but the reason that we're delayed is because we didn't have a project manager watching over it. And we still currently don't have anybody that's qualified to be a project manager, but, yeah. But I mean, the previous chairperson of the, General Operations Committee before us, she was designated to be overall in charge of this project, so I think that would kind of, what you have,
Yes.
kind of fall in your lap.
I mean, and to your point, that's kind of where I was getting at before. We're basically dealing with a pile of.
Well,
whatever you
but
wanna
we
call it.
specifically asked.
Now, let's be real, I mean, like, to your point,
So
we've
that's
had,
what
previous, Gen Ops committee that you probably count on your hands how many times they met in that term, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, to your point, I mean, but unfortunately, we've got to look at what we got in front of us, and that's just, that's just reality. I mean, we could sit here and do this all day long. I get it, it's frustrating, and a lot of people are upset. But, now what do we do to move forward and get this thing off our back?
As much as I don't want to put this in the hand of hope, I'll reluctantly second Commissioner Harrison's motion to let this go.
Okay. It doesn't need a vote to drop.
Okay.
Just FYI.
I will, with your agreement, I will bird dog the project more closely than I have been. And, work with the mayor and Ms. Norford to get it wrapped up as quickly as possible, if you're all in agreement with that. Okay, well, let's take it off of old business then, and, we'll move on. Mr. Mayor, did you ever get a contractor up to the third floor dormers to look at what we did?
I've contacted a couple, and they were just too busy. I'm gonna continue to work on that. I'll tell you, through this latest, code spell, where we did the cutouts on the third floor, we did a temperature check, and the temperatures stayed above freezing in those rooms. in the dormers? You know, where those little sections are, we did cutouts where we're gonna put vents. Right now it's just solid, but when we saw the cold spell coming, we did two things. One, we ran the heat through the whole weekend instead of going to an unoccupied status and the temperature dropping. We kept it at the normal temperature. But we also removed those, and that allowed heat to get through there as well. And it stayed well above freezing in there.
That's a good thought, good job. I would push it back a little bit, that that's a good temporary fix, because those are uninsulated areas, so you are gonna continue to see if we can cap it and make that a non.
Yeah, I just couldn't, contractor is just busy right now.
That's a good thing.
So,
Yeah, that was real good, thank you.
I was gonna ask, when it blew last year, that was Christmas Eve, right? Were we in an unoccupied? Oh, we were.
yeah, that was when the temperature would start dropping.
And so that heat was not on.
I mean, it was on, but it wasn't, it was very low.
Set lower.
Right.
Okay, I did not know that. That explains a lot to me. Okay.
Yeah, we did know that, because you remember it takes a while to ramp it up, we talked about that.
Well, I knew we were doing it on the weekends, but I didn't make the connection with Christmas Eve. So, because that's set at a timer. Okay, so you're still gonna try to get somebody up there, Sure. Thank you.
Are we dropping that, or?
Yeah, we'll drop it. Oh, you wanna keep it on? Okay.
So he'll report back.
Yeah, keep it on, and the mayor can report that. H, status of the new Sumner County Courthouse. Mr. Mayor, have you heard through Ms. Norfleet or what SSOE has resolved with Turner?
I haven't seen the final report.
Okay, I will
Follow up on that tomorrow.
Yeah, okay, great, okay. Maybe you could send us an email, because I know they're expecting to be able to send us renderings of what it's gonna look like. This is for the venting, yeah. And I will find out and send everybody an email on where we're at with furniture and everything else.
Is that something we have to approve?
No, it's just an informative thing.
No, the drawings of venting, are they gonna go?
They're gonna want an approval from somebody. I don't know that this committee has to do it, or I don't know.
We've already approved the money. I'd venture a guess it probably would just work with the committee. That'd probably fall under day-to-day.
No, the design, like the architecture of it, is it something that the specific company deals with the architect on record, or do they have to run the review by us?
We're running into time constraints.
Yeah, they will run it through the county. The architect, they told me that on that Zoom call.
So do we have to do a special meeting to
No,
approve it?
no, we don't have to. It just, they're gonna wanna protect themselves as the architects, that they got some sort of approval.
I'm misunderstanding, you said they're gonna run it through the county. Who will be the person?
Well, that normally would have been Randall Coy, but it'll probably be Kim Norfleet, the mayor, and myself, probably.
Okay, I just wanna make sure we're ready to approve whatever comes out of this meeting,
Yeah,
so we don't hold anything else up.
It'll happen the same day.
I can't see that it would make a hill of beans, what the event looks like up there.
It's not going to.
They're not gonna make it,
Yeah,
ugly or prettier than I can imagine.
yeah, no, it's not even gonna be noticeable to 99% of the population. Okay, the health department surplus property, that was a list that we got from Mr. Hendricks. I would like to, have item K, the status of the county surplus data project. I've been working on this with Mr. Tuttle, and this is the handout I gave to everybody. He's got a program ready to go. And so this is what Robert Tuttle has come up with, and he's ready to enact it. And we could make the health department material that's surplus, we could actually put it in this if we, if you remember last month, I said I would look into it and see if I could get something other. And we're proposing a central location, and he's basically done all the hard work, and he was actually working on it before I ever went to him. So, we can put all of the health department, surplus product on this and see if there are any takers with different departments within the county, so that we don't just give it away or sell it at a low dollar if there's another department that could use it. So, is there, I would entertain a motion to go ahead and implement the system.
Is this going to cost any more money for the taxpayers?
No.
We should save them.
No.
I'll make a motion. Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Miller and a second from Commissioner Holmes. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Great. So,
We're gonna send that to commission.
if we have to, sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you have any, I guess if you could give me some implementation requirements,
Okay.
and I'll
get
wrote
those.
something out.
I'll
Okay.
get those from the IT director. All right. So that knocks out I and K. Moving back to J, creating a list of all capital improvement projects currently in progress or budgeted for the future. This is something that I feel we need as far as a committee that's supposed to be overseeing all construction and improvements of the county. I believe this would fall on the shoulders of the mayor's office and probably finance. And so I think I'm not sure exactly how to implement the list. I've been working on the back page of our entire packet here. I got the most recent list of items that, that's really difficult to read.
Anybody can read that?
Yeah. You know what, I will email it to everybody so that everybody can actually read it. But this is, Holly Hemrick was the one who came up with this list for me, and it's a combination of, yeah, no, you're not even gonna try, because it looks like I wrote it. Oh, it's vertical.
We can see that.
Vertical. Yeah, I don't know what happened to that. So anyway, we have items that we have allotted money for, but we don't oftentimes in this committee find out that these projects are underway. I think a good example that I didn't know that we were going after was an EMS building in Westmoreland. That totally took me by surprise last month when I was talking to Dave Walling about it. So if we can compile, and Mr. Mayor, you can maybe give me direction on this, because you're the one who starts these projects with the surveying and stuff. If we could keep a running list of projects.
Yeah, this is the report that I go down and give you each month.
Yeah, I know, but we don't know where in the process we're at. Because you talk about them, and that's great, because they come up, and like I say, we don't know, certainly I don't know where we're at within the process.
I work on a different format to present it to you.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
crop or old business?
Yeah, old business. And, item L actually could be walking hand in hand with that, Mr. Mayor. Standard operating procedures for the General Operations Committee. No, K was with the I.
I probably could.
Yeah, yeah. And what I did is I came up with a program. I can find it. This is page 10 in your packet. And we had kind of put this on hold because it was going to take our meeting last month way long. So we had a little more time than we did last time. So if you'll indulge me, this is not too long and I can read it and then we can ask questions. In order for this committee and ultimately the legislative body to carry out the responsibility of oversight of county property, it is essential to be fully informed of all aspects of such property. As it pertains to construction, recent events involving the construction of the new Sumner County Courthouse project and the parking structure, which is a part of the overall development, it is evident that there is not a system in place which enables information on progress of construction to flow quickly nor freely. To that end, we, the General Operations Committee, propose the following. On at least a monthly basis, the county mayor or his assigned representative will provide a written report of the following. 1, a bar graph, a Gantt chart showing the original anticipated timeline of all aspects of the development, including but not limited to land purchase, where applicable, conceptual design, architectural and engineering, plan submittal and permit, execution of contracts where the consultant contractor is directly responsible to the county, all trades working on the project, notice of substantial completion and occupancy permit. As the timeline is modified due to schedule changes, those changes should be reflected on the bar graph. See the Gantt chart. Example attached. Then item 2, access to all project documents to include but not be limited to trust deeds, financial loan or grant, easement, construction plans, and reports. Contracts executed with Sumner County, extra orders, plan changes, and correspondence with any and all parties involved in the development. 3, documentation showing all original costs, progress payments where applicable, contract increases, contract decreases, and all other aspects of final expenditure. And 4, access to names, phone numbers, and addresses of all consultants and contractors who answer directly to Sumner County. It is hereby understood that the legislative body is the ultimate representative of the owner, the citizens of Sumner County, and therefore has all the rights and access to the property that any owner would expect and by legal right have. What I'm suggesting here is standard operating procedure in the development of any project, whether it be a room addition or a county courthouse, that a Gantt chart shows the inception and in a block fashion, and there is a pretty good example of one. And those can be updated so that we don't have to discuss this in very laborious terms in meetings. We can go directly to the Gantt chart and see where we're at in the project. And if we're missing anything, we can ask questions at that time. So this was, like I say, this is every development company I've ever worked with. This is what they do as a course of events. And it would be very helpful for us as the owner to follow a Gantt chart and have all of the data and information to have to fulfill our obligations as the oversight of properties in county. Commissioner Jones.
I'll make a motion to adopt this in order to, once it gets second, so we can discuss, and I'm trying to get to you also.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
So, this is exactly, what we do in the private sector with
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Okay, we have one no. Commissioner Harris.
I have some questions now that the vote's made, before you move on to another thing. And it may be for the director, but I'll ask you, we made a decision to do something. This is gonna fall into, I guess, the mayor's hands to implement,
Yes.
and future project managers on other projects as we go along. So, how do we handle implementing it? I'd like to ask opinions on whether or not this is something he wants to do, or
Well,
handle it if and when something.
I don't know how we can effectively do our job without this kind of information.
That's my point.
So, in the mayor's office, he has certain people. Ms. Northwood comes to mind as the first who would probably execute this kind of work. He could have the planning, the engineering department implement it. I would say that we just go and start up, and we'll ask for whatever projects are in the works next meeting. And I don't know that, because I'm not sure of how many projects we're in the middle of right now. I don't know how much work that involves, but ultimately I would think the mayor would catch up.
But, I mean, to my point, I want to be respectful of the mayor, because he's an equal branch of government. I don't want to tell people what to do as authoritarian, but I think it helps government work when roles are clearly defined, and we find the reason for doing it and expect it to be done as we all have different roles, and we want that to be his roles, so we're asking him to do it. So is it fair to ask, is he gonna do it?
We've already voted.
I know, we've already voted to do it.
There's a discussion here, nothing vote.
Well, we haven't moved on to the next item, so I don't know.
I think to your point, you bring up the right
Right.
Right.
Yeah, it's out of order.
Well, I'm gonna change my vote to no, because, I mean, you made some good points. No, I mean, well, that's fine, and it's too late, but.
I mean, you can suspend the rules.
I
You can suspend the rules.
entertain a motion to suspend the rules.
I'll second that.
No,
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
What he's saying is, asking and telling are two different things.
Well, no, that's not,
To your point, I'm not telling him how to do his, the mayor, I'm not telling him how to do his job. I think if why I'm gonna take my vote back.
Well, we're still talking, we're still out of order.
No, we suspended.
We suspended the rules.
We didn't
No,
vote.
we didn't vote. All in favor of suspending the rules?
No.
No, you don't want to suspend the
No, I
rules, okay, so one dissenter. Okay, so we've suspended the rules, and let me just ask a question, Mr. Mayor, is this problematic to you?
No, this isn't problematic. What the problem is, if we want to talk about this, is this does delve into the day-to-day operations of the project, which is outside the scope of general operations. General operations is designed for the need to determine, okay, we need a building here. Then it goes to budget. Budget says, okay, we can fund this need. And then at that point, you empower those, once that's done, county mayor goes on to the day-to-day operations with reports coming back to the committee. When you start getting into names and addresses of everybody that's involved, original cost and progress payments, that does become a little bit cumbersome on a monthly basis. I give a report on where we are with different projects, the capital projects as well as the ARPA projects, which everybody in this on this body voted for when you voted for the budget. You voted for capital projects, you voted for the ARPA projects. I'm just a bit bewildered on why we don't know what we had on those lists.
Because you don't communicate, that's why.
Well,
you voted for it, you should know, you shouldn't need to.
Okay, so communicate, tell us what's going on, tell us where the project is. I don't know why that's so hard, but obviously it is.
Obviously, no one listened to me when I went through this list tonight, but the communication is there. And I'll be more than happy to frame this in a different way next month. I'll be more than happy to do that.
Okay. Thank you.
What I'll do is I'll start doing a PowerPoint, and we'll put it on the big screen.
Okay. That's a good way to do it, Commissioner Jones.
I think a lot of the frustration is we listen, and your reports are quite lengthy, because we do have a lot of projects going on, and it's hard to, I constantly don't know whether to interrupt you and ask a question or wait till you're done and have all the notes that I've scurried to take and try to hit them after the fact, because sometimes you may have a 10-minute report, you know, and it's hard to catch all those things. So seeing it in a chart, you can revisit a chart very easily, flipping or whatever. And so that's why I like the idea that if you got some pushback on some of the things that you think kind of go into the day-to-day more so than just a monthly report, then I think that's fair to talk about limiting some of these things. But I do like the idea of having the chart on there. I think it's helpful for everybody to keep up with. To the point I was trying to make earlier, I don't want to tell somebody something to do that's not within their job description is what I was trying to make. I want to vote on things that are in your job description that we're allowed to tell you to do. I'm questioning the law director, is it an ask or is it a tell? At certain places I know we can ask you, but at certain places I know we can tell you. And that's just the duties of the different branches of government, and to keep it fair. So I'm not trying to step on anything, I'm trying to do it the right way, but get us more information. So I wanted that to be clear.
Well, and you know, and to answer one of your concerns, you can stop me during the report. If you say, hey, I got a question on this, I'm flexible. You know, this is a pretty comprehensive report of where we are with all of the capital projects and all of the ARPA projects. And I'll be more than happy to put it into a PowerPoint, and I think a PowerPoint with pictures may help digest it better.
I'm open to anything. Commissioner Mansfield.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to clarify the role of the General Operations Committee. This committee shall be responsible for all non-school county properties, buildings, equipment, and services not otherwise specified as under the jurisdiction of other committees. The General Operations Committee will concern itself with long and short-term range planning, space assignment, and allocation within county buildings, maintenance, construction, and improvement of necessary facilities, and the study of the equipment needs of all county departments. Just want to be clear about that, what your role is.
And I don't want to nitpick day to day.
Go ahead.
I don't want to nitpick day to day, to your point, Mr. Mayor. I want to keep it to month, just so we see the bigger lines on the Gantt chart, not daily things. So make it,
Let's look at the report next month and see if that's sufficient.
Yeah, just a suggestion, maybe Mr. Mayor would be agreeable to putting the report that he's got. I know he's got a Word doc, maybe he would be willing to put that as part of our minutes.
Yeah, as a person who's worked on the construction sites and then in management overseeing the construction site, there's different levels of knowledge, but the better we can be informed of what's happening, the better we can respond to requests, delays, and it's just, however we end up, this was, what I wrote out there was what I'm accustomed to in land development. If we don't end up there, I think that's fine. But as long as the objective of everybody at this table being informed, that's what the goal is.
So best industry practices, all big building type things on an industrial scale do it this way, that I've been involved with. So I just think it'd be very helpful to have a plan, and then how far would you be off the plan month to month, not a change month to month and never had an overlay of the original plan. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and most of our projects, I think, are, well, I say that maybe they're not all that small, but maybe we have a lot of big projects. But it'll allow us to track them. It's a good form of discipline and information for everybody involved. Mr. Sidler, you had a...
Yes, just to clean all this up, we're probably gonna need a motion to reconsider. It's gonna need to be entertained by somebody that was on the prevailing side and revote, and based on that vote, either continue on or move this to old business.
I'll make a motion to reconsider the vote.
And if I can say, am I allowed to, or?
Well, in fact, let's get a second. Got a second?
If, here's my thing, this committee is made up of 7 members, the mayor, et cetera. And I'm not gonna, don't wanna sound rude, but I'm not gonna apologize if this gentleman over here raises a red flag, or you raise a red flag as concern. I'm gonna speak out on it. I'm not gonna dictate to anybody how they do their job. I prefer to ask and work with them, and people can interpret that any way they want. But again, doesn't matter what side is up. Thinking on whatever it is. If you raise a red flag, I want to hear it. And that's to his point, when he brought up this, that's why I wanted to hear what you had to say. I'm not going to apologize for that. I'm just not. I mean, you made some good points, and it had to be said.
Yeah. I'm glad that everybody understands where I was going from.
Okay, so I'm not clear on the motion.
The motion is to reconsider the vote.
And so to adopt.
No, most of the reconsider the vote, then I have to make a motion to
Oh,
adopt
okay,
it again with the new understanding in hopes of getting a bigger consensus than we have.
Yeah, I got you.
Or just let it go to old business.
So we have a motion and a second from Commissioner Harrison. So all in favor to reconsider the vote, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No. So it's 5-2. My vote was no. Okay, so
Now,
yeah.
I'll let you make a motion to adopt this as you've written it. The mayor's gonna make a stab at making something like this in some form, and we'll see if it's good enough. So that's the motion I'd like to make, to adopt this.
So isn't that just leaving it on old business?
No,
We're trying to adopt this,
Okay.
and if he satisfies the request to adopt it, we'll all be happy with it. If not, we'll say, yeah, but could you do this next time, and we'll tweak it a little bit, but he's gonna make a stab at it, so.
Okay, so we have a motion from Commissioner Jones and a second from Commissioner Miller. Any discussion on that? Yeah.
What is the harm of moving it to old business and allowing the mayor to come back with say a sample or an example of what he would like to present in the future, and then us discussing it next month and then adopting it? Well, I mean, is that the same as what you're?
I think that's the same. I think that's the same.
Either or,
I
this
think
is the
it's-
guideline that we go by, so.
That was kind of my question, so I think that's.
Okay with the guidelines part.
So, is
That's fine.
okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. One dissent. Okay, motion passes. All right, we're getting down to the nitty-gritty here. We have Sheriff's Department surplus property. I talked to Chief Craddock after the last meeting, and he spoke, this is almost all computer stuff. He spoke with Mr. Tuttle. Mr. Tuttle said he can't use it. If Mr. Tuttle can't use it, I don't think it makes a whole lot of sense to put it in the surplus. But I'm just giving you information that I got tonight. So, we have a very lengthy list
list of police surplus stuff. I've been through it, and I have to tell you, I don't know what most of it is. And I did not take the time to look it up, but like I said, Mr. Tuttle did look at it and said he doesn't have a use for it in IT. So, we can either vote on it or move it out to next month.
All computers and monitors and
Right.
cameras, keyboards.
So can we just leave it on?
Can we just put it on that list we just created?
We can do that. But that's why I said, and I have not spoken to Robert Tuttle about it, you know, but I'm believing Eric Craddock when he said that Robert has no use for it, but we can have them put it on the list. And
So it goes on the list, I just want to clarify that procedure that we adopted. It goes on the list and everybody else gets bids at it first in the county, and then at a certain point in time, do we dictate that it will come to this body for auction?
yeah, we did not give a specific timeline of it. I kind of wanted to see how that worked because
Who's managing it?
it would be Robert Tuttle and us as a committee. We would ultimately be in charge of it. He's going to mechanically be the one who implements it.
So whereas this would have been just a vote to send the auction, right?
Right.
Tonight.
Right.
We're gonna vote to send it to the list, and then somebody's gotta say it's been there long enough. So
Right.
the auction.
Right. And that would ultimately be us. And we would make the recommendation to put it on gov deals.
Okay, well, I'm sending it on to that list.
Okay, is that a motion?
Sure.
Okay. Do we have a second on the motion?
Second.
Okay, second. Mr. Mayor.
Who keys all this into the system?
Robert
IT's kind of short. So they'll do it.
That, he said he would, so.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Passes. It was unanimous. Okay. All right, new business. Removal of tree threatening historic Cottontown post office and how it related to the maintenance and costs of maintenance. In the packet, I included all correspondence which you'd already seen, and I was in error and the mayor was right. The way the resolution is written, we kind of painted ourselves in a corner as a commission. We have, that last line of the resolution, we said we won't spend any county monies. So the way I see it is if by, and Mr. Sidler, correct me if I'm wrong here, but everything needs to run through the county mayor legally for insurance practices and everything. Is that, because I thought of just going and cutting the tree down myself, and that could have gotten me in trouble probably, because I don't own the property, the county owns the property.
Technically, yes, if you'd like, I'd go through this resolution real quick, that's all right.
Sure.
If you kind of work backwards from the last statement, this is about the repairs, upkeep, improvements, and security of the Draper House. And it restates repairs, upkeep, improvements, and security. So, I understand the intent is to not throw more money at preservation of this building, but what we've got here is a unique situation in that we still own the property. So we've got a duty to mitigate loss, to keep whatever the property value is at the highest level possible, and also we run the risk of injury for anybody that could be on the property. So if this tree is in such a nature, I have not seen the tree, so I have nothing to speak on this tree, but if the tree is in such bad shape that it could damage the property, this property the county maintains, the commission maintains on behalf of the residents of the county. So we've got a duty to try and keep that value as high as possible and not suffer any liability. So based on those two grounds, I think that kind of goes outside of the scope of this. And for an emergency purpose, if the tree is that bad, I'd say we would have an out to go out there and at least knock the tree down. We wouldn't want to get into any beautification project and replace the tree and do all this other stuff. We've already dictated how that's going to be handled, but I believe we set ourselves up for some liability if we don't address this tree.
So, do we make a motion to do that, or do we have to revisit the resolution from that?
It feels to me like this is just the beginning of a quandary that we'll be in if we don't address the resolution. Because what we're saying is we can't spend any money on it, on the property. And only money that's donated to the county can pay for anything done on it. And so if nobody comes up with any money, then the things are just going to get destroyed in one place. And it seems to me that the easy fix is to go back through the resolution and get rid of that last sentence. I mean, I know the intent, and other properties in the county, for instance, Castellian Springs Bethpage, or the Castellian Springs Community Center is worked for years as a project that the county has given money to, in some cases given labor to, but the people who basically work out of it and hold their meetings and stuff there, they've done a lot of the work too. I remember talking to one of the gals that is part of that organization. She says, yeah, we needed to paint something, and so Anthony Holt bought us the paint through the county, and then we provided the labor and painted the building. And so if we got rid of that last sentence, I think that would be a similar thing that we could do here, not being a legal mind like you, but I think that might solve some of the problems. Commissioner Jones, still thinking? Are you still thinking?
I don't disagree with you. I'm trying to find you a carve out on this specific issue we have today.
Mm-hmm.
I do agree that this needs to be addressed. This wasn't the original resolution. That was an amendment added on the floor.
Right.
So I'm really not sure how it got in there from the original. But having said that, this does create issues in the future that we're going to run right into this again.
Because I can't expect a 501c3 in the community to, have absolutely no right to the property, but giving thousands and thousands of dollars to it necessarily, unless they wanted to. So I would understand, and I have not spoken to them about it in any depth at all. But for them to say, no, we don't want to pay for the tree to get cut down, that's their prerogative.
Who cuts the grass on the property?
I don't know.
County?
So then why would the county be responsible for the tree?
What's the difference?
I feel like that's kind of
grounds
strange.
maintenance.
Well, that's a good question, because that's not the way the resolution reads. So
Grounds maintenance.
where I'm getting to is the bottom. The resolution is not, that last sentence is problematic.
What is the license exactly?
requested from the floor that be it further resolved outside of this volunteer tax act, no additional county funds will be spent. And within the volunteer tax act, that's where I'm relying on repairs, upkeeps, improvement, and security to give us kind of some wiggle room. And if we are doing the maintenance, the lawn maintenance out there, that just gives us a little bit more wiggle room for this specific instance. I'm not saying it's not gonna be a problem later.
Well, I think we have to. I mean, that goes along with if somebody walks through that property and, you know, tree falls on them, we're liable. And at a certain point, we're liable for that tree, whether it falls on the house or falls on the person that's walking through the property. We're cutting the grass, why not cut the tree? To me, it's a no-brainer. I don't know if we
Is the
make a
whole tree or
motion
just
to
a
do it.
branch?
Is just a branch, a limb on it, or is the whole tree just need to be,
I have not seen
chopped down?
From what, and I'm not an arborist, but looking at the tree, it was dying. The whole thing was dying.
So drop the tree and let it sit there. How much time would I take to?
Well, but we're talking about a resolution because this just puts a Band-Aid on the issue. The real issue is, are we as a county willing to spend money on our real estate there regardless of what happens in the future? I mean, we wanted to save the post office and we wanted to save the Draven House because they're historic buildings. But now we're saying, well, we can't spend any county money on it.
With all due respect, I'd push back and say that is something we can look at later. But right now, what came to us tonight is a tree that needs to be addressed. We're cutting the grass, cut the tree, because it could fall on somebody, we're liable, it's our property.
Can we go on this picture of the It's gonna lead into a question which is probably gonna go nowhere, but I'll try it.
Yeah, that's,
Recently, I noticed from personal experience throughout District 18 and some of the neighborhoods, Cumberland Electric is out there removing trees that they deemed to be a danger, you know, or an interference to utilities, et cetera. So I'm wondering, has anyone thought of maybe contacting, if this, I don't know who the utility would be on this, contacting them and saying, look, this looks like it could create a problem for future use of electricity? They may come out, and you may be surprised, they may say, yeah, we'll take it down, or we'll trim it, at least trim it to where it's not a danger.
I don't know that I don't think there's any power hooked up to that post office.
But even so, if you were to call the utility company, they were planning on possibly turning on utilities, just to pose it to them that way, to see, they may turn around and say, yeah, you know, we'll take care of it. I know they've done it in Alexandria Place, and a few other subdivisions throughout this state.
Those are active accounts.
Yeah, but again, it doesn't necessarily have to be active, is what I'm saying, that they may turn around and say, you know, if they restart this.
I can look at it, Don, and
I mean,
it's gotta be in the way of the wires.
I mean, yeah, but
Wires
you'd be
are
surprised,
kinda
I was
changing
kind of
already.
surprised with the trees they were taking back, so even some other people were.
Commissioner Harrison?
Based on the, all director's opinion, why don't we just go and cut the tree? We wouldn't even need a motion, we're cutting the grass, just cut the tree.
I agree.
I agree.
Commissioner
Does that
Harrison.
work for you?
Yeah, I've got 3 bids, I can just call low bid tomorrow and have it done.
Great.
Is that a decision we have to make, or
Fabulous. Thanks.
Do we have,
to
Do you want a vote to cover you?
I don't think so. I think we've got good video.
so should we leave the, resolution for another time should we leave that on old business? Okay, let's leave the resolution on old business. And then, Mr. Mayor, thank you for taking down the tree.
Thank you.
That's a hot topic.
Another hot topic, yeah. Okay, I will make a motion to discuss the repair and or replacement
Second.
of the audio-visual system. I have been going through some of the issues of the audio-visual system, and I thought we had parts of the packet here. There is a system, I could have sworn it was in here. Our system has lots of problems, and in talking to, Mr. Tuttle, that system may be not long for this world. They've done what they can with it. And there's a system called Open Meetings that I could have sworn was in this packet, but I'm not seeing it now. And it's used by Robertson County and Williamson County and several of the counties out there. And I don't have prices, but I could, with Mr. Tuttle's help, I could get a demonstration for our next meeting, if the committee was open to that. Yes, sir.
Is it something that would use at least partial of our existing equipment, or are we replacing everything?
We're not that far down the road yet. I know that there are iPads used in this, and we do have iPads for every member of the commission.
What bothers me is that the previous commission had just bought the
I know.
system, what, in 2019 or 20?
Yeah,
It
18, I think.
But it was only a couple, 2, 3 years, 4 years old.
Right.
And never got it working right. We had them come back in and do a lot of work to it to get it up to where it's at, and now it seems to be failing and falling apart. Now, there was issues with an amp that I don't know if it ever came in yet. It's been on back order for 5 years.
Yes, they provided a
substitute, but never got the real thing that we actually paid for. And I just feel like this company owes us a working system. You know, a sound technician and an IT person working together, I would think should get this able to be used. I don't understand what the problem is with gathering votes on that telematic.
Yeah, well, it's a European system. The closest support is Canada. Apparently all of our videos are kept in Ireland.
Not my system.
I know it's not. If the committee is willing,
But how much would we spend on that system?
over $100,000.
That's what I thought. This will just be writing off something that,
Well, humor me here and allow me to get a demonstration of Open Meetings.
I want to see the cost before we do the.
Well, we'll get the cost when we do the demonstration, but at least we'll see what we've got now and what we'd be comparing it to.
Have we defined the problem yet? Because this is coming from our IT director that's saying this may be a.
The problem is we can't hear because it feeds back if we get too loud.
I've never heard that yet. I've never heard it feed back.
So we did when you and I
I understand that, but they did a lot of other things to it. I've never heard it cranked up with the way we have it now.
Right.
Every week, I want them to test those limits of that feedback, because I understand you can't hear back, hear everything that's being said. But I want an explanation from the IT director as to what the problem is, because defining the problem is the main part of the solution. It's not where our videos are kept or where the support system is. We don't need to know any of that. If it works,
Right.
I want to know why it's not working.
Well, Mr. Mayor.
So, let's clarify something. This isn't part of the IT department. This is separate from IT. However, with the internet, with connection, they had a cyber attack, and in defending that cyber attack, some ports were closed. And this is way out of my wheelhouse. But when those ports closed, it shut down the live stream. Now, I will tell you, I was as upset as anybody because I wasn't able to attend the meeting.
That happened that night?
That happened it happened that week. And once we identified that, reopened the ports, and now it works fine, for the live streaming part. Your feedback issues and microphone issues, those are best solved if you speak directly into the microphone, is what I've been told, and I think that's been conveyed. And then the projector issue, unfortunately, Carolyn was not notified of that there was a problem with projection. Otherwise, she would have had that fixed. So,
Do we know what the voting, when we're pushing buttons and they're?
you have to wait until that blue light comes on. I think some people there's a little blue light that comes on that says, okay, it's time to vote. I think if everybody paused for just a second, and then you can vote.
It's not that, because I'll start pushing it when she says go, and I watch the timer, and then I watch my light go when it hits the
I think
second.
if you do that initial one before the blue light, I think what she ought to do is pause, herself needs to pause for a minute and say vote, and then give that blue light.
Her blue light. Her blue light.
Can I get a motion to suspend the rules?
Yeah, sure. Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, Mr. Mansfield.
This problem did not exist really 2 years ago. It did not.
With the voting.
The system was built, I think, 2017 is when it was purchased by 2 years ago. And it was over $100,000. The previous commission allocated $20,000 to county clerk's office to fix the problem. And my understanding was they just bought some TVs and those speakers that ended up exacerbating it and making it worse. That happened around August of 2022. The problem, there is a significant problem with this voting when you're putting on that. That does not exist. It's just, it breaks every month, and it's got to be fixed. The actual voting mechanism, I watched the blue light, I've tested it, I've talked to Carolyn extensively about this, and that is not 100% the issue, because even if you do wait for that blue light, it still doesn't work on half the time. The blue light's not an issue. The system is broken, whether it's software updates, hardware updates, but it's broken on all of it, which means there is definitely a software issue, a hardware issue with the company. So something has gone wrong with the company we purchased the system from or not. This issue did not exist 2 years ago. And for 4 years, I tried to push my button as fast as I could at the time. Nobody ever had a problem, ever, in the previous commission. This is new only to this commission as of August 2022. Just stating that as a fact. So I don't know if it's user error, hardware error, or software error, but it did not exist as of July 2022. We did not have any of these problems.
Which blue light are you talking about?
On yours, the little thing in your desk, every time before she puts it on there for us to vote, a blue light will flash. But it takes like 5 seconds, several seconds. And the majority of the time, you have to wait until that blue light starts flashing on your voting mechanism before you can hit your button, green, yellow, or red. But that didn't exist. That problem did not exist prior to August.
Well, prior to August 22, you had a different county clerk there also, and Mr. Mayor is saying that perhaps it's her function of when she pushes something to give us the okay to vote.
I don't know. There was also the TVs and the speakers also changed at that time as well. So some adjustment was made to the system, and things got broken after that.
If that's a true statement, then I'm worth exploring that she look at that, because I want to try to make the system work, to not spend, I know it's going to cost $100,000 to get a new system. And if they cost that much in 2017, and then we revisit the amp issue and get a real, just a regular sound technician in here, it sounds like 2 different problems and 2 different systems that are working together, but versus revisit a whole new system, I really don't want to do that.
I mean, you still have the option as a commissioner, is if you don't see your vote recorded, to speak up and say, well, I voted, instead of just letting it go and then looking like, I don't know, 20-0, whatever, it looked like 4 people didn't vote. I mean, just,
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, I just want to make sure, I'm not the expert on this.
No, but.
This is a discussion with Ms. Carolyn.
Did Bill Kim have a good handle on that machine?
Well, he did prior, but he doesn't anymore. He's retired.
Mr. Harrison?
Yeah, well, one thing, we probably ought to go back in regular session first, right?
Yeah,
We
okay.
suspended the rule.
Yeah, we'll bring it back.
Okay, all right. Two things. One, I mean, you can always go back to a roll call, because they did that for years and years and years, if it's a problem. But if we're going to adjust the system, one thing that I would like to see is it go from 15 seconds to maybe 20, 25. I think that if we had an issue with pushing the button, there would, instead of being 4 or 5 seconds to everybody cast their vote, you would give 10 or 15 seconds. We could make that adjustment. I'm assuming, because I'm not an expert, but I would think that there would be an adjustment inside that software.
Well, just a second, Mr. Sidley. And the other thing I wanted to say is that I know it's not IT's department, but they just did hire a guy that apparently knows a lot about these AV systems. We're about to find out, I think. I don't know when he's coming on, but I think it's fairly soon. So I will check with Mr. Tuttle and see how close we are to having, how much this guy knows about this system, about systems in general, and see if there's any help there. I will call the amplifier people, the same ones we spoke to a year and a half ago.
They ever came in?
Yeah.
So we're doing that pass from what? That's right.
Mr. Sidley.
Yes, sir. The, county clerk, this is the one role that she has purview over because of the requirement through the rules and procedures.
Right.
So, the one thing I haven't heard is getting her in the loop to figure out what works for her as well, because there's a lot going on, and being responsible for minutes in a commission meeting, that video plays an important part of recreating some of that, and if she's not happy,
Well,
a happy wife, happy life.
if we were going to look at the other system, then I would have brought her in immediately. But I guess we're not there yet. The desire here is to make that thing work. So that's where we'll go. Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Just, for a point, public record, what Mr. Mayor said about the microphones, I believe those to be a design that you have to speak into the top of them, and a lot of people speak into the side of them because they stay seated, or when they stand up, they project over the top of the microphone. If you're not talking into the top of that microphone, it's not going to pick you up very well. So I say that publicly to at least catch this many of us to start trying to do it the right way. Hopefully, we also watch the video.
Yeah, the other thing we did discover a year and a half ago, though, is if the boxes on the desks are set, the speakers set too loud, they will feed back into our microphones. And that was a problem. We might want to turn those off, because I don't know that we're hearing all that well.
I depend on mine.
Oh, do you?
I have a couple pieces of paper over it, but the projector, right, 'cause I cannot hear the other side of the
Okay.
room.
All right.
I think those should be able to turn up, and I don't see that we have a control for them. Carolyn's control down by her knee goes to the back speakers and the top speakers.
Yeah.
They're functional,
It was in the back room.
but it doesn't
control that.
change those. I'd like to get that looked at, see if we can turn ours individually up, because everybody's got different hearing parameters, and we should be able to individually adjust those. They got all ports, so I thought about bringing a earphone to plug into it to see if I can hear better.
Well, I'll follow up with Mr. Tuttle and with the amplifier company that, I guess, still owes us an amplifier. I totally forgot about that.
I have suggested that we move the next set of meetings, whether it be budget or, next Mondays or whatever, into that room so that we could have a meeting while people are looking at the system and playing with it, because it seems like all the adjustments are always done, and then we go there and test it live during the meeting, because you never know what it's going to sound like with a room full of people.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe we could do that. I don't know.
They have BVA and planning in there, so, those meetings that go on,
Well, during one of those, maybe somebody could be looking at it while that's happening.
Yeah.
Use the system and test it while they're working on it.
Our planning commission meetings are always in there. So.
Thank CPA system.
Okay, so we'll put this on old business, carry it forward, and then, I've already been over the county building list, and I will email some other stuff out that Commissioner Miller and I have come up with over the last year and a half. And then
Drop our own,
drop our own business, old business. And then,
Can you roll that into the other one?
Yeah.
He's working on and put them together, or you want to keep them separate?
I want to keep them separate because the county buildings list is separate from the new construction stuff. And then the health department, Mr. Mayor, the floor is yours.
I'm going to defer to Mr. Howard, if you
Okay.
don't mind, spending the rules.
Motion to suspend the rules. Second.
All in favor? Opposed?
Just in case y'all have some questions from, but everything that I said, on the health department, really what I'm needing from this body today is to change the verbiage from renovate to, demo and replace. That way we can stay within the guidelines of the grant, and just to reiterate, the state's gonna cover any overages on this, without a match from the county, so we're not gonna incur any other expenses other than what we currently allocated. And this will be a 4,000 square foot building versus a 6,000, or went from a 4,000 square foot to a 6,000 square foot.
I'll make the change for you. I'll second. I'll tell him.
I think we had questions.
Well, do you have anything to add?
No,
I just wanna make sure the expert.
We got some questions.
We got a motion and a second?
We got a motion and second method, so.
So we're out of session.
We're out of session, so let's wait.
My question, go ahead and vote on this because it would have nothing to do with my question.
I'd rather, if it pleases everybody, I'd rather have Mr. Hendricks speak and we ask questions before we actually vote on the motion, so. Please. Yeah, I was pretty surprised when I got this, information. Whose ultimate decision was it to demolish that building?
Structural engineer, electrical engineer, and the architect, all in a meeting in the building, with Marshall, Tim Northleaf, myself, the state, contractor, supervisor, and the regional director, were all in a meeting last week. And as we started the meeting off, this remodeling, and they stopped and said, what's the total amount? And they did one math, they said, it's gonna be cheaper to knock down a little bit than remodel.
Later, I think cheaper.
Yes.
Per square footage.
I have questions.
Not total bill, per square foot.
Yes, but it's within our, parameters of what we got to be.
Commissioner Miller.
If they knock it down, when are they gonna operate in the meantime?
I'm ready to go to Henderson Hospital and talk to them about space. What we can do at a minimum is a WIC and bioelectric, emergency in Hendersonville. And I've also been told that there's a clinic space in the Dunn area, in the building where the county property, library maybe? The county,
Oh, that's
Where the county clerk.
county clerk, the old one-to-one thing, and I've just been told space. I have no idea what square footage, if that's even possible to come in there and use that. But, at a very minimum, what we'll do, or maximum, would be a WIC program, and,
Are we gonna have to pay rent to have a space somewhere else?
I'm not gonna pay rent. If it's given to me or donated, I'll be happy to accept, and we'll look at the contract or MOU, but I'm not, I don't want to spend that money, that's not, what the state wants to go in on top of what we got, I'm not gonna come to y'all for anybody.
We only have to have one facility in the entire county, and when we knock that one down, we'll still have two.
Yeah.
So, do we even have to
pretty good at night. We are out of federal compliance under WIC. And what that means is, what's scaring me right now is postpartum mothers who have given birth within like 5 days have to be seen within a WIC clinic once they call the health department. We're now at 11 days.
Are we the only WIC clinic in Hendersonville?
So with this, by Hendersonville, Galvin, and Portland clinics are all at 11 days now.
Well, how do they meet that standard with the requirement of the state only having one per county? How can anybody make that standard?
They've got enough square footage and staff there in those buildings to accommodate.
Do they have enough, capacity to take on more employees to be able to do more work in those buildings? Can we throw some of your people into those other two buildings?
If I have the time to train them and get them up to speed, if they're ready. Right now, all my people are, because of the snow and the week we're behind, we're so far behind trying to catch up, and we'll eventually catch up and all. But Hendersonville, with the sheer number of volume, of weeks that we see down there, you know, I'm not, when get to do the buildings, I'm getting a second nutritionist, and my nurse, so I have 3 staff and 1 currently.
Well, that's a lot of information, but specifically, she's asking about place you could go, and then he's talking about the state, requirements for how many a county has to have. Can you service more of those women, infant, and children programs in the other 2 facilities with some of the staff that you have to make a dent in how far you are behind that would cover and satisfy the state and the need to put your employees somewhere and get some work done?
Right, we'll be able to do that temporarily.
Okay.
They will not get it from them, they will transfer to Gallatin and Portland, but if I can, at the very least, look at the spot in Hendersonville for ready file records. So this could be, yeah, and this could be, the number of funeral homes there in Hendersonville that drive all the way to Gallatin, and every day you pick up first ticket, and that ticket.
Have you been in discussions with, city staff, mayor, Larry, or alderman, anybody about spare buildings in there?
Not yet, that's my next step is, as this comes along, my logistics and my whiteboard is getting filled up on what to do.
It's really beneficial to their, citizens. I would think they hopefully can come up with a different place.
But if push comes to shove, you're fine with Gallatin and Portland?
Yeah.
You'll satisfy state requirements?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'll have to know that we're temporarily down, 17 new health departments that are going to be built in the coming years.
Okay. Mr. Chairman.
With this being a third larger building, are the footprint there on the school campus, will it be enlarged, the parking area, and will you consume more property in use for the health department than you are now?
Yes, we looking at, and I'm glad we were there Wednesday to look at the building with the architect and the contractor for the, state contractor, coming out towards Bell High, about 15 feet, and then just squaring the building off. Now, it's got a bump out up front, and it will just be a rectangle, after, according to the architect. And it will not, the playground is in the back. Like they will just square it up and go, about 10 to 15 feet towards Bell High, and square up the building there. So they did not see an issue with that.
You talk to school officials.
Not directly, but, from what I understand, there's no future plans at this point.
Oh, I think they would very much like to regain that area. I wonder, if you are talking about a whole new building and a larger area, if it's even practical to think about moving it where you can even 10, 15 years from now, even enlarge area I'm thinking about that I sure wish someone would at least think about, talk to someone about, somebody on this committee or whatever. If you look at, I'm sorry, Stadium Drive, there is a large block, there that you could expand just about all you wanted in the future if the city would, work with us on gifting that property. It's where the old Hendersonville High School football stadium used to be. I mean, the old Hawkins, or the old Hawkins.
5 years ago, there was a special needs grant for $500,000 that the state offered to the county to look for new facility in Hendersonville. And we went to City of Hendersonville and Alderman and approached them on use of that property because it's perfect. And I agree with you, Mr. Ryan. Perfect. They have future plans for that property.
You know what?
It's not the complex at the time.
Well, let's change it, try to put that in a couple different places now. It may be worth looking into, and I like your idea of thinking we could possibly write off some of the debt that they owe us and they could give us that property.
It is central. It's central to the people who utilize the facility. It's not in a residential area. It's in downtown.
There's a low-income childcare place right behind it also, that the same type of parents would probably find beneficial right next door.
And they are not, but when we gave that, sold that school, we virtually gave it to the city of Hendersonville. You know, it was always we're going to do various different projects with it, and it's still there.
And on the deed, I believe it does say from the county to the city, it has to be for public use. So they cannot sell to McDonald's or RVs or a developer. It has to be for public use only.
Well, that would be, for future and for expansion and plenty of parking and for central locations.
Keep the other one running while they're
You have also right there on the same property, a rather large senior citizens, center. Think about that. I don't know, maybe the chairman would, investigate with you and the, city of Hendersonville, what the options might be. Take that upper football field area and, utilize it.
Only headache right now is time constraints with this ARPA funds and getting things in place.
Well, all you have to do right now with the ARPA funds is designate it by the end of the year.
I'd be happy to go work with you on it. If you can arrange a meeting with whoever, I'd be happy to be there and meet you and see what we can work out.
We could go ahead and do the wording, things tonight, because this will have nothing to do with what it is.
Well, but if we were to move to a different location, he could stay in that building until it was ready, and then we wouldn't demolish it, because probably Merrill Hyde wants to keep his appeal house. Yes.
Yeah.
So there would be no demolition, period. We would just be building a new building.
If I remember correctly, and I think I do, with that building, when the Board of Education gave it, to them, there was help in building it with, school, construction people, with maintenance, with anyway, and probably why it's falling down now. But, in any event, I think it was something
$266,000 to rebuild the original facility.
Mr. Mayor looks like he has a question. No, you don't? Okay.
Well, I do have concerns though, because City of Hendersonville has no intention of giving up that property, because I've already talked to them. I had heard something from someone, and I won't say who, but they had explored other areas within city limits, and they just did not have, space. The other concern is, and I talked to a lot of people, in and out of the district that really like the location for a lot of
where no one knows them.
You know, for certain heads that they offer, that's, well, that makes sense, but.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, also, we have to have the architectural renderings done and contracted by September for this project. We don't have until December, because the state has to report to the federal government, so they moved that date up to September. So we really are on the time crunch on this one.
Okay.
You know, I'm all for going to talk to the city again, but I can tell you they have no intentions of giving it up.
I would still like to inquire, because this is a case where government is crunched by these various different deadlines, and we may be forced into a space in an area that we are forever forbidden to expand, because they're going to utilize all that space at the magnet school.
How much, projection in revenue would the extra third of the space give to the health department?
I think we get a second RD down there, a further exam room, and I've been asking for years for a full-time nurse practitioner with a managed there. The space has just not been there.
So the profitability didn't go up.
Oh, yes. And then
So your ability to pay any small taxes didn't go up too.
Well, that's a good point.
So that,
I would like to invite you to this meeting. Yes. I think you would be a good one to have there as well.
It may not work out, but it would be worth looking at.
they may say they have something else. They may say offer something else up.
We can change the word as the mayor's requesting in the event that it stays on the Maryland property. We can pursue this if we can get a meeting this week or next week. Let's do it.
Well, I would sure hope that it wouldn't encroach on any more school property there. Kids do not have, there's only 10 acres for an elementary school, a middle school, and a high school, with all the facilities that a high school needs. I would hope they wouldn't give up a square inch of it. Sorry, that's
Okay, thank you, Hal. Okay, we're back in session. So, I would suggest that, because time is of essence, that we go ahead and approve, or change the wording on the, is that a resolution that we're talking about? What was the document?
It's just the ARPA document.
The ARPA document, from renovation to, demolition. And that way, if we don't have to demolish, we won't, because the school will want it. And if we do have to demolish it, then we're ready to go in a timely manner.
Will we have to rescind something now if we decide to go this other route? I thought we were going to refer this to next meeting, so
Well,
we find out, possible meeting.
If I may, it's demo and new construction's the wording I heard. If you're using demo and new construction, you do the new construction with no demo, I mean, it really doesn't matter. So you're covering your bases both ways here. I think you're fine.
okay.
It doesn't make us have to demolish that building?
That would depend on whatever arrangements work out. I'm just saying you're changing the ARPA so that you have the opportunity to demolish and rebuild.
But we don't have to demolish. It's not and or. It's still demolish and rebuild, and you don't have to demolish.
I have to see where you would be forced to do something you're not required to do to complete the project. That's all you're asking.
It's just saying that we are going to demolish, but we're not. That's what I'm asking.
We don't know if we're gonna demolish. That's what I'm saying. So if the language is in there, it's a no harm, no foul.
Okay.
Because if we do have to demolish it to build at the magnet school, then the language is in there. If we find a new piece of property, there's nothing to demolish, but we can rebuild, it says so, then just say with the box fees.
Together or separate?
Yes.
Okay.
That'll satisfy your needs, right? Okay.
Commissioner Miller?
If the building's in that bad a shape, it needs to be demolished. Schools may want it demolished anyways, we don't want
It
it.
wasn't that it was in bad shape, you said the reconstruction costs would be the same per square foot as the renovation cost. It wasn't that the building was still dilapidated, it was that the cost per square foot needs to be worth it. That's why I asked in the very beginning, we talking about total dollar amount, or we talking about the cost per square foot of what you're wanting to do? And that's where that came from. I just don't know how much square, how much has to be repaired.
It's gonna take, let's just go down that route for a minute. They're the director of schools, and they want to demolish this building. How much money is it gonna cost the taxpayers? I understand this is a grant right now, that, we're not gonna be on the hook for anything. But at a later date, if you get through there and, let's just say we go down that,
Well, I've been assured it's not going to cost the county any money at all.
No, he's talking.
No, I'm talking about if you all go,
Future plans, we can't go there yet.
No,
Yeah, that's over.
that's out of our
It'd be nice to
jurisdiction.
look at it, that doesn't go too far, I know it's too big of an unknown.
But I am correct in that, Mr. Mayor, right? This would not cost the county any money. This is all gonna be handled.
Just the initial commitment that we made. Any overages due to the project will be covered by the state. They have extra money.
Okay.
They've made that commitment.
Okay, so, just,
Did we apply for that, or they just offered it up? How'd that come about?
It was one of those rare opportunities with the ARPA funds, because typically the county pays for the health department. And this was due to the ARPA funds, they made this available to all the health departments across the state.
So is it through the state?
It's to the state.
Yes.
This is a new thing, just a new thing.
It's one time off.
okay, so, we do have to vote on it. Mr. Silver, can you read this?
If I'm understanding it correctly, it's simply a motion to amend the ARPA to state that it is for demolition and new construction.
If we get, unanimous,
Yeah,
Waive second reading.
Waive second reading.
can we go straight to commission with it, or straight to
This
budget?
has to go through budget.
Yeah, so, will somebody
I'll
make?
make the motion to accept that amendment.
Well, there was a motion.
We
already had it.
No, I was just stating it.
Yeah, so do we have a motion, do we have a second? Second. Mr. Harrison, second. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Abstain. And opposed? Okay, so with an abstention, is that a unanimous or no?
Can't be.
No, so we have
It's gonna be, yeah, it's gonna be second reading.
second reading. Okay. All right, we have one more motion.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you, everybody. That was a long one.
It's not the abstention, it's gotta be unanimous. Otherwise,
Okay.
no. Making a question about that.
What is that? Co-op or
They've already found two other places.
Oh,
Milestone, we've had, and they're better than that.